The Midnight Express cut through the darkness, its polished mahogany carriages gleaming under the dim moonlight. A train of luxury, a passage through Europe's grandest cities, where the elite and enigmatic shared a journey across borders. The journey had begun in Paris, bound for Venice. The passengers aboard were a mix of aristocrats, businessmen, and travelers seeking the opulence of a bygone era. Among them was Evelyn Devereux, a celebrated actress whose name shone on every theater marquee from London to Vienna. That night, her name would be whispered for another reason. At precisely 7:43 a.m., a maid's scream shattered the stillness of the train. Within minutes, the conductor and several passengers rushed to cabin number 7, where Evelyn Devereux lay motionless on the crimson velvet bedding, her lifeless hand clutching a small note. Her expression was eerily serene, but the dark bruise on her neck told a different story. Detective Alistair Graves, a man of sharp intellect and impeccable observation, was among the passengers. He had been enjoying a quiet breakfast when the commotion erupted. As soon as he laid eyes on the body, he knew this was no natural death. The note, gripped tightly in her delicate fingers, contained 4 words: Venice, midnight, betrayal, fate. Graves turned to the conductor. Who discovered her? The maid, sir. She was bringing her morning tea. The maid, a young girl named Clara, trembled as she spoke. The door was locked, Mr. Graves. I had to use my key. When I saw her, Her voice broke. Graves nodded, offering her a moment before turning back to the body. There were no immediate signs of a struggle, no blood, no disturbance in the finely decorated cabin. Only the cryptic note. Lock the cabin, Graves instructed. No one enters until we have spoken to every passenger. The game had begun, and Graves seated himself in the opulent dining car, where the passengers gathered in hushed distress. A murder among them meant only one thing. One of them was guilty. The list of notable passengers included Mr. Reginald Whitmore, a wealthy industrialist from England, traveling to Venice for a business deal. Count Nikolai Petrov, a Russian nobleman with a past as elusive as his manner. Miss Lillian Hartley, a rising star in the theater world, rumored to have been Evelyn's understudy. Dr. Rupert Farnsworth, an American physician with a passion for criminology. Madame Celeste, a French widow who claimed to know everyone of importance. Each had their own reason for being on the train. Each had something to hide. Graves began his inquiries. Mr. Whitmore claimed he had retired early, too tired from a long day of meetings. Count Petrov smirked and said he had been enjoying a game of chess with a fellow traveler. Miss Hartley, her eyes red from tears, swore she had adored Evelyn, though whispers in London told another tale. Dr. Farnsworth declared himself an insomniac and had been wandering the corridors when he swore he saw a shadow outside Evelyn's cabin. Then there was Madame Celeste, who leaned in and whispered, "Mr. Graves, I know secrets, and this, mon cher, is a story worth unraveling." Graves exhaled. The murderer was here, in this room. He only had hours before the train reached Venice to unearth the truth, and time was slipping away. Returning to Evelyn's cabin, Graves examined the note again. Venice, midnight, betrayal, fate. A puzzle, her final words. A search of Evelyn's belongings revealed a torn letter in her jewelry box. The visible part read, "You will regret everything. I will not be silenced." The handwriting was neat, but without the signature, it was useless. The maid, Clara, stepped forward. "Sir, I remember something." "Go on." Clara hesitated. "I saw someone outside Madame's cabin last night, a tall figure in a dark coat. They stood there, listening, then slipped away." A knock at the door interrupted. Dr. Farnsworth entered, holding a silk scarf. Evelyn's. A single drop of blood marred the fabric. Graves clenched his jaw. The murderer had made a mistake. The interrogations continued with rising tension as each suspect's carefully crafted alibi began to crack. Graves methodically analyzed the inconsistencies, pressing harder where hesitation crept into their voices. Mr. Whitmore had more to say about his relationship with Evelyn than he initially let on. "I had business with her, Detective, but that's all. I swear it." "And yet," Graves countered, "you failed to mention your investment in her next production." Meanwhile, Count Petrov, aloof as ever, became less composed when confronted about the scarf. "You claim you were playing chess all evening," Graves said, "but your opponent remembers otherwise. You disappeared for nearly half an hour." "I needed air," Petrov admitted. "I was outside, smoking." Graves pressed further. "And did you see anything unusual?" Petrov's silence spoke volumes. As the night wore on, a chilling realization settled over Graves. They were all lying. Not just about Evelyn, but about their own pasts, their connections, their motives. The actress had been more than a star. She had been a keeper of secrets. And someone had silenced her before those secrets could come to light. Tension in the dining car reached a peak when Mr. Whitmore, mid-sentence, choked on his words. He grasped at his throat, his face contorted in agony. The diners gasped as he collapsed onto the table. Graves was at his side in an instant. "Poison," he murmured. "Someone is growing desperate." He ordered the doors sealed. No one would leave until every plate, every glass had been examined. A small vial, tucked beneath a linen napkin, revealed the culprit's method. But who had slipped the poison into Whitmore's drink? In the ensuing panic, Graves caught sight of Madame Celeste, watching him with keen interest. "You knew this would happen," he accused. She exhaled. "I knew Evelyn's killer would strike again. They had to." With Whitmore unconscious but alive, Graves doubled his efforts. The shattered compact mirror in Evelyn's cabin yielded a final clue. One last, desperate message. The murderer had left behind the smallest thread, and Graves was prepared to unravel it. He studied the fragments, piecing them together with delicate precision. The note inside had been hurriedly scrawled, as if the writer had little time. The words, though partially smudged, read, "Meet me in Venice. We end this tonight." Graves leaned back in his chair, tapping the note against his fingers. Evelyn had known her killer. More than that, she had anticipated the danger. But why had she written this in such a cryptic manner? Had she meant for someone else to find it? Retracing his steps, Graves went over every detail of the case. The poison in Whitmore's drink had been meant to silence him. But why? What had Whitmore known that made him a target? He decided to confront Whitmore as soon as he regained consciousness. Hours later, Whitmore stirred in his cabin. Graves stood over him, waiting. "Mr. Whitmore," he said gravely, "who did this to you?" Whitmore's eyes fluttered open, and he swallowed hard. I don't know," he rasped. "But I can tell you this. Evelyn had a secret, a powerful one, and it involved Venice." Graves pressed on. "Did she confide in you?" Whitmore gave a weak nod. "She had a rendezvous planned, but she was afraid." He paused, struggling to breathe. She said, "Betrayal was close." Betrayal, the word from Evelyn's cryptic note. A chill ran down Graves's spine. He left Whitmore's cabin, his mind whirring. There was only one way to force the murderer's hand. He needed to act before they struck again. As the train neared Venice, Graves devised a plan. He gathered the passengers in the dining car, where tension hung heavy in the air. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, "the murderer is among us, and they have already made 2 attempts on our lives." Gasps rippled through the group. Miss Hartley clutched her hands together, her face pale. Count Petrov scowled. Madame Celeste sipped her tea with a knowing smile. "I have uncovered the final piece of evidence," Graves continued, pacing the floor. Evelyn knew her killer. She left a message behind, hidden in her compact mirror, a message that reveals the truth. He reached into his pocket and unfolded the note. She had arranged a meeting in Venice, where she intended to end this. But someone ended it for her first. His eyes swept across the gathered faces. The killer tried to frame Count Petrov with the scarf. Then they attempted to poison Whitmore to cover their tracks, but they made a mistake. Graves turned sharply. "Miss Lillian Hartley." A collective gasp filled the room. Hartley's face went white. "That's absurd," she cried. "Why would I harm Evelyn?" Graves held up the torn letter. "Your handwriting matches," he said. "You wrote the threat Evelyn kept hidden in her jewelry box, and you knew about her meeting in Venice." Hartley's breath came in short gasps. She ruined me," she whispered. "She took everything from me. My career, my chance. I only meant to scare her." Graves took a step closer. "And when she refused to be frightened, you silenced her." Tears streamed down her cheeks. "It wasn't supposed to happen this way." The authorities were waiting at the station as the Midnight Express pulled into Venice. Justice had arrived just in time. And as Graves watched Hartley being led away, he couldn't help but think. There were always more secrets waiting to be uncovered, and more crimes lurking in the shadows of luxury and deceit.